All right, hi everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us for our Q&A live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Today is December 16th. We're getting close to the end of the holiday season, but we're here to take your questions about U.S. immigration, educational stuff, general material only. And just one note is, we got a lot of people jumping in right now. Good to see everybody. Hello, pal. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Where was I going? Oh yeah, thank you for joining us. If you had some questions where you want to have a private consultation, just email me directly at info@jqqlaw.com and just say consultation request, and I'll respond and we'll take it from there. It's that simple. But without further ado, let's get it started. To our first question, Raul asks, can you still transfer to student visa if you come as a visitor? Well, it is possible to change your status as a tourist visa holder to a student visa holder, but it's complicated. It takes so long right now to do a change of status that you may inevitably become out of status, and so from your previous student tourist visa. So what happens is you have to do a bridge extension for your tourist visa while the student visa is pending, and then when the student visa is approved, your school has to start within 30 days of that. So timing that all out is troublesome, and that's why I generally prefer not to do change of status to a student visa unless it's an urgent situation, you have no choice, you have to figure it out. Now, they are supposed to add premium processing to student visa adjudication. So if you're going to go from a tourist visa to a student visa, you pay like $2,500 more, which is a lot, and they'll do a faster decision, and that'll help you be able to time it right so you can start your school, especially if you're in a semester system where it's like you're either starting in the fall or spring or you're not. It's not like a school that goes every like 6 weeks or something. What I just said right now is a little bit complicated, but that's the issues with transferring changing status from a tourist visa to student visa. It is possible, not generally recommended, but if you got to do it, just consult with an immigration in private and get some advice on the best way to deal with that. That's what my recommendation would be. Mija asks, hello sir, may I know after all your documents accepted when you will have a scheduled interview and medical exam? Well, Mijan, when USCIS updates you and says all the documents are received, or when the NVC says all the documents are received, you probably have to ask about the National Visa Center. There is no timeline as to how long it'll take, especially right now with COVID and pretty much shut down everything. So the reality is once you have notification from a government agency that they have all the documents, there is no timeline as to when it'll be available. For example, I have a marriage case that happened in France. Once they said the documents were ready and okay, we had the interview 6 weeks later. But I have 2 interviews, one in Moscow in Russia and one in Montreal, Canada. It's been 6 or 7 months and we still do not have an interview. So it really depends on that specific embassy that you're dealing with, that location, what's going on with them, and you have no power control over that unless you have some sort of emergency reason where you can make a special request from them. But that's the situation. Even pre-COVID, it really just depends on how much time they have and it varies. So there's no real timeline that you can rely upon for that. Samuel asks, are there ways for undocumented or DACA recipients to get a green card without leaving the country if they didn't enter legally? Well, if you didn't enter legally, there's some ways to get a green card. None of them are easy. For example, if you have advanced parole, so if you had deferred action or child arrivals and you got special permission to leave and come back, that entry could be considered admission, or it's a parole, but it could be a basis for a green card. For example, if you're married to a U.S. citizen. If you're a victim of serious crimes, sometimes that's possible. If you're a victim of spousal abuse, the Violence Against Women's Act, VAWA, it doesn't have to be a wife, it could be a husband too. That could prevent you from having to go do the embassy route and go through and be able to just adjust status. But a lot of this depends on all these other factors, like are you married or not, who's your spouse, and what the situation is, if there's abuse, or there's some sort of exception, if there's advanced parole. There's a lot of things. So when you ask a question like that, I really need to know the facts of your case to see what's appropriate for you. But that's the situation that we have. Jesse asks, hi, if the checks have been cashed by USCIS for concurrent filing for a marriage-based green card, does that mean that the forms have been accepted and will not be rejected? Thank you. Well, usually if the checks are cashed by USCIS when you submit a case, it usually means that it's been accepted. But not 100%. For example, the checks might bounce and they'll come back and reject it later. Or after reviewing it further, they'll realize it was a mistake. Most likely, vast majority of the cases, if the checks are casting and start processing it, doesn't mean there's not issues that could lead to denial later. But your basic question is it accepted? It won't be rejected? Most likely, but we're dealing with immigration. It's never 100%. I can't guarantee that. Beckmont says, I got my citizenship a month before my child has been born overseas. Does he qualify to get citizenship by birth? Probably not. I mean, maybe. Beckmont, I gotta review the facts of your case. Actually, just had if you go on YouTube, if you go to my community page, I showed a picture where I described a factual scenario that's kind of similar to yours. It may be possible, but it depends on how long you lived in the United States, how old you were, and a lot of different factors. So just schedule a consultation so we can review the facts of your case. Email me at info@jqqlaw.com. There are fees for consultations, but email me and say you want a consultation, see if your child has citizenship, and we can do a video consult, and I can review your documents and discuss that. But if you go to my page on YouTube where you're at right now, where I should post pictures and stuff on my account, my community page, you'll see an example I posted today of a person who it's a very interesting case. So this person was actually born overseas in East Asia. The father was a U.S. citizen, became a naturalized U.S. citizen, lived here for 20 years, then went back to home country, got married, and had a kid, and then raised the kid there, and then passed away a few years later when the child was a teenager, unfortunately. Now the father got an attorney, tried to get citizenship for the child, and the attorney filed the wrong paperwork. He filed what's called an N600K, which was the wrong paperwork for that. So that got denied just because of the wrong paperwork. And so they let it go, not realizing there was an error by the attorney. And then the father passed away, unfortunately. He doesn't leave many documents for us to use. And the daughter is in the home country, gets a student visa, comes here. Unfortunately, makes some errors, typos on an application for OPT, which leads to a denial. OPT is a work permit you get after studying here. So she immediately had to leave the United States. And so she contacted my office. I teach at the school she was at. So we looked at it and I said, well, there's no fixing this. However, you're a U.S. citizen. Your dad lived here for like 20 years. The problem was we didn't have any paperwork to show it. So if the father lived in the United States for 5 years and was a U.S. citizen, 2 or 3 of those years after the age of 14, the child automatically becomes a citizen. So we set outside many months gathering documents for USCIS, property records, and in the state the father lived in. We got all together. She went to an embassy. They reviewed all this, and it was really obvious that her father was a citizen, lived in the United States more than 5 years, all of it as an adult. And she got a passport, 48 hours ago. And so it changed her life. This is an adult going to graduate school. All of a sudden realized they've been a U.S. citizen this whole time. It's like a miracle. It's a really happy story. So I always like to share that kind of stuff. But Beckman, that's why I got to review her documents, see what's going on. Catherine asks, what's your view on HR 1040 S386? You know, it's a very controversial subject. People give a wrong answer on that, and people will want to kill you. So I don't really have an opinion. I don't personally handle the cases that are affected by that for the most part. It's a controversial thing. So what the situation is, there's a huge wait for people, especially from India, to get a green card in certain work categories, because every year there's only there's a ceiling as to how many people from any country can get a green card through employment based. Just to focus on that. And because there's so many Indian people here on H-1Bs and their employers will file for the green card, that a huge backlog of 10 plus years is developed for Indian nationals, people born in India really, to be able to get a green card. And so what happens is if you're not from India, let's say you're from Sri Lanka, for example, next door, the line will be a year or 2 years. But if you're from India, if you're born in India, then it's going to be 10, 15, 20 years. And so they want to make that a little bit better to make it less of a burden on Indian people born in India. But the problem is to lessen that burden, that's going to create delays in everybody. So what's going to happen is they're going to pretty much shut out new employment-based green cards for many, many years if that happens. So if the Indian-born people are able to get their green cards faster, that shuts out almost all the rest of the world and causes delays, and pretty much will shut down employment-based immigration in the United States to clear up that backlog. So that's a problem in innovation and new people coming and for all these people. But on the other side, these people born in India, what's their fault? They're just born there, now they're stuck. So I think the solutions are really opening up other visa category numbers and making more temporary workers so they can at least be here. But I don't have much of a dog in this fight, and it's not worth the death threats that people get over it, so I'm not going to give an opinion on it. That's my opinion. All right, Richmond asks, hey, John, I have my 2-year green card, but I got to work in a different state. Will that affect my 10 years? It's going to make them more suspicious. So this is a person that got married and their marriage is new, so they got a 2-year green card. At the 2-year mark, when the green card is going to expire, they have to file for removal of conditions to get a permanent green card. the government, USCIS, wants to analyze and make sure this relationship is real. And, you know, you can still get it. We do it. It's better to work with an attorney in that case, but you really got to document the time you were together and the relationship is real and have an explanation of why the separation happened. For example, I just had a case approved last week where they were living together and they both got accepted to 2 top business schools, the number 1 and 2 business schools. The wife went one business school and the other. And so we submit and say, listen, they're not living together right now, as soon as after they got the green card, actually. But, you know, one's going to the number 1 school in the country, one's going to number 2 school. How are you going to give up that opportunity? And they have plane tickets back and forth constantly to show, hey, we're going to visit each other. They went on vacations together. So it's really about documenting the relationship and having an explanation. We didn't even have an interview. Now, it took like, I don't know, a year and a half to get that approved, 18 months. It was really annoying that it took that long. But it's possible, Richmond, but, you know, you just got to document it well and have good explanations. All right, so we're reaching the end of the show. I think that's all the questions. I want to thank everyone for joining on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, on YouTube, JQK Law Firm, and on Instagram, JQ Law Firm as well. Very nice to meet all of you and try to take your questions. Hopefully, I provided some insight and understanding of what the situation is. To schedule a consultation in my office, email me. info@jqqlaw.com is the email address, info@jqqlaw.com. In the subject line, just write consultation request. If possible, describe some of your case, but at the basic, just write consultation request and we can take it from there. Also, if you are interested in the marriage green card case, a fiance case, download the free guide. It's a 41-page ultimate marriage green card guide. Go to www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com and answers most of the typical questions I get here. And then after that, you can schedule a consultation when you fine-tune the questions that you want to have. So you're really asking about the core kind of stuff that makes a big difference. The rest of it, you've already figured it out and know what's going on. It's a great guide, and every day, I mean, I have like at least a ton of people every day downloading it. I see how much we download it. It's probably gonna be a bestseller pretty soon because the numbers of downloads I'm getting. But I want to thank all for watching. We'll be back again next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time on all these channels. And until then, be safe. God bless. Talk soon. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this educational video. We have a second channel with much more information as well at JQK Immigration Clips. Please check that out. Also, you'll find our social media site has a lot more videos, images, and information about the U.S. immigration process. Please check those out on the various social media websites.